gotta alter, you gotta evolve, as a pro. And I think more so now, my training kind of focuses on, what I need to get better at, what my deficiencies are, where I need to get stronger. I would say the main thing I'm focused on this year in my training is make sure my knees 100%.
But do you think you have anything to prove?
I think every year we got something to prove.
But you personally, though?
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, he definitely has something to prove. Look, the contract is what saved him. He would not be a member of the Dallas Cowboys right now, barring a dramatic reduction in pay. He did the contract the year that he held out, and we advocated it.
Yes, we did.
Get your money while you can. It's up to the team to figure it out on the back end, but the guarantees vest a year in advance. His salary this year is fully guaranteed. It vested in 2021. That's the way you do a contract. You guarantee the money into a year beyond the current one, and it ties the team's hand, and they're stuck. They're stuck. I tried to ask Stephen Jones earlier this year something along the lines of hypothetically, but he wouldn't take the cheese. But the bottom line is he would not be on the team right now. There's no way. Look at his rush yards per game last year. You can't justify giving him the money that he's due to make if it wasn't already fully guaranteed, Chris.
No, it's, again, we advocated, yes, for Ezekiel out to sit out and pay, and sit there and, you deserve to be paid. Now, but can we also advocate and say that Dallas was way too generous and, gave him too good of a contract? I mean, I think what's fair to say that. They did not find middle ground. They did not. And they are paying him still for what he did early in his career. He's nowhere near in the class of the top running back conversation in football. I have so much respect for this guy, and I don't like talking like this about guys like this. I feel bad sometimes for running backs in the NFL. They're the freakiest guys on the planet for the first 25, 26 years of their life, and then they play 4 or 5 years in the NFL, and all of a sudden they're like, man, I don't know if I'm the freakiest guy in the running back room anymore. And that's what happens, and that's what I would argue with Dallas. To me, the contract itself a little bit hurts the football team because they're always trying to justify him playing and him being in the lineup and him getting carries. He's the second best running back on their football team. Again, I don't feel proud saying that, but they leave yards and plays on the field throughout the year because they leave Ezekiel Elliott on the field because they want to justify $15 million a year for him. He's not as good as Tony Pollard. Pollard's the better running back on the football team. The stats say that. My eye says that. The film says that. Whatever you want to say. And that's where it stinks. But, yeah, that's part of the problem why Dallas has had some salary cap issues and all of that. And it's unfortunate. But, yeah, they're stuck here with them right now.
You spotted it a couple of years ago. Once he get through the front level, he couldn't turn that 15-yard gain into a 50-yard gain.
Exactly right. Exactly. Too many runs with meat left on the bone, to your point, is what we used to say.
Here's the reality.
Yeah.
Here's where the Cowboys got themselves into trouble. They thought they were going to be able to cozy up to Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, throw an arm around them, and talk them into doing some sort of a team-friendly deal. And they overplayed their hand with both guys, and it blew up on them with both guys. Dak Prescott's contract, better than any of the others that have been done, maybe even better than Deshaun Watson's, because it forces the Cowboys back to the table after only 3 seasons at $40 million per year. Right. And Watson, especially under the circumstances, we'll talk about that coming up, but Watson's contract probably better. But I would have taken Prescott's over Mahomes, Prescott's over Josh Allen's, Prescott's over anyone's except maybe Deshaun Watson's. And it's all because they screwed around. They waited too long and thought they could talk him into taking less than what he was worth, and they ended up paying him even more. Same thing with Elliott. They forced the holdout instead of just paying him and offering him something that would have avoided all of that. And once he dug in, they were stuck. And, the broader issue, too, Michael Carter of the Jets spoke about this last week. I wrote an item about it over the weekend, how running backs are underpaid in Carter's estimation, especially as we see receivers get more and more money. But the difference is receivers aren't getting banged around. They're getting hit by safeties and quarterbacks.
Right.
Running backs are getting hit by defensive linemen and linebackers. There's only so much you can take before it all changes. Christian McCaffrey, after 3 years, Panthers give him a huge contract. He's played 10 total games since then. It's not his fault. It's the position. It's the position. It is something that results in injuries and ineffectiveness and just overall your body can't do it anymore. You're older. Your body is older than it should be because it's been beaten around so much, and that's why. And that's why you have to be careful. It's a tough analysis. You want to keep that great running back, but you know the end is coming. And for Ezekiel Elliott, the end of being a high-end running back is already come and gone.
Agreed, right. Agreed. You're right. Really, ultimately, and again, this is part of the Cowboys' problem, he's the guy you would want to be, oh, this is our second guy. This is our backup running back who comes in and gives us a little juice, and, man, look how hard he runs, and this is our backup, and you got to deal with him for a few minutes. But, the point you brought up and the point I've been trying to make a little bit over the last 2 years really is, yes, as far as what he's being paid, yes, it doesn't meet the results on the field. There is too many plays where I go, 6-yard gain. Damn, that should have been 25 yards. If that was one of the top 5 or 6 running backs, that would have been. 12-yard gain. He just had to make that one guy miss, and it would have been 60 yards. Doesn't ever do it. That, to me, is the difference between the great running backs. And, yeah, Mike, I think you're spot on. I mean, I think you're seeing there's a reason. I think teams are starting to get to the point where it doesn't really matter. Maybe, a running back will change our thought every now and then, but you almost got to think about every 3 years we got to draft a running back. And maybe every 2 years if you're really a running football team. I think you're seeing like the Patriots, the 49ers with Shanahan. They're kind of going that way where they're going, well, we're just going to draft one every year. Because two guys can get hurt in the same year. We need to keep our running offense here, and these guys kind of fall by the waysides every 3 or 4 years, so that's why you have to do it. And I think that's going to continue to be a trend, and I think that is the biggest difference between what Michael Carter, the Jets, is trying to say and you're saying is, receivers, they can double digits part of their career, and we still go, damn, they're really good still. Whoa, that guy's in year 10 and 12. He's really good. Running backs, when does that happen over the time here? Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, Emmitt Smith, maybe Derrick Henry can do it because he's a freak of nature, but we're talking about 4 or 5 guys that have gotten to that second and third contract and still kind of look good at the running back position over the last 20 years. It's very limited.
And Derrick Henry is averaging $12.5 million per year.
Exactly. So they didn't take the cheese to your point there.
Yeah. And he missed 9 games last year.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Yep.
It's the nature of the position. You're going to make the investment in players that are more likely to be available to play. And it's not a criticism of the players. It's just an inherently dangerous position relative to the other big-ticket positions on offense. Let's look at the Cowboys offense broadly. Highest scoring team in the league last year. Where would you loosely rank their current weaponry? Obviously, Amari Cooper, gone. They already are touting CeeDee Lamb as a better number 1 receiver than Amari Cooper was. Collectively, when you consider they have Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, James Washington, new arrival via Pittsburgh, Dalton Schultz at tight end, where would you put them in the league? Are they still a top 3rd unit to you?
I think they are. I do. I think I look at that and go, it's still an impressive group there. There's no question. I mean, yeah, they lost Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper. So what? I mean, Gallup's going to be coming back from injury. I know that. But, man, he's about as good as number 2 receiver as you're going to find in football. And I think he could go on teams and some teams and you go, well, he's our number 1. He's legit. So that's pretty damn good. Dalton Schultz is a hell of a tight end. He can do it all. And even though I know we said what he said about Ezekiel Elliott, he's effective. And I really like Tony Pollard, who's extremely explosive. I mean, maybe the most explosive guy on their offense with the ball in his hand. So offensive line a little overrated, but still good. So I don't know, Mike. I still think top 3rd for sure. You feel that way?
Yeah, I think the offensive line is the key here. That's where we've kind of
seen some issues.
And we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Team has a great offensive line. And if it's spectacular, then we really notice it. But for the most part, the stars overcome the conversation of, well, they got a pretty good offensive line. And when they have a bad offensive line, the stars are the ones that get the criticism because they don't have time to operate. They don't have holes to run through. They don't have an opportunity to throw the ball. But how that offensive line performs, that they're kind of trying to retool on the fly, I think that's going to go a long way toward allowing Dak Prescott and company to fully unlock the potential of the offense. But I still think they're top 3rd. Are they top 5? it's all going to come down to that offensive line.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I could go that way. And I think the offensive line, as we discussed a little bit towards the end of the 2021 season, to me was the part that was certainly an issue with their team. Their offense is good. I never looked at it and went, oh my gosh, wow, it's so special and creative and it's amazing. It's got everything you need, certainly, but the running game needs to happen a little bit. That's to me where it fell off a little bit at times last year, where there was no threat. They couldn't really run consistently, and then they had to become too much of a pass-happy football team. And to me, that's just not that creative of an offense to where you can just go, oh, they're just going to drop back and throw, for 4,800 yards every year and win all the games that way. No, I don't think they're that talented or that explosive on that side of the ball to just win that way.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.